Hello and welcome back to Dearnley Reads the News. I'm Jack Dearnley and I read the news so that you don't have to. What an unoriginal slogan. This whole concept is unoriginal.
Dearnley Reads the News.
Today's guest publications are the Daily Mail, which costs 65p, and the Daily Mirror, which costs 75p. This is the most money I've ever paid for a newspaper, so the only way I can see it being worth it is if the horoscope predicts the actual lottery numbers. Over on the front page of the Daily Mail, today the Mail prints more photos that prove he was at the terror grave. So when will you come clean, Mr. Corbyn? I mean, this happened days ago. They just can't let it go, can they? More on this story later. Over on the Daily Mirror's front page, Meghan should look after me, but I haven't had a dime. This is Thomas Markle, the father of Meghan Markle, who you may remember from that time she married a ginger kid. He says that his daughter should be giving him money now, because she's rich, but she hasn't. There's a picture of him, looking all miffed, and in case you couldn't tell that he was miffed, they've actually printed the word miffed next to the photo, just to help you out. Before today, I hadn't said the word miffed once, and now I've used it 4 times, so it's an exciting day. Now the thing is, Thomas Markle worked in Hollywood and made a lot of money for himself. It says here that he was earning 6 figures a year and even won $750,000 on the lottery, but has since been declared bankrupt. So what's happened is, he's made a lot of money, spent it all, and now he's expecting his daughter to bail him out. Like some kind of child who's spent all his pocket money on sweets, and now he's throwing a tantrum because he's eaten the sweets, and his mum isn't buying him any more. Except his mum is his daughter. Back to the Daily Mail now, and still he won't say sorry. This is back to the story that Jeremy Corbyn went to a cemetery the other day. I've pretty much said everything I have to say about this story in the last video, but I do think it's important to point out that the Daily Mail is frantically anti-Corbyn, and this is very obvious in the way they're handling the story. They've even gone as far as to just print 3 pictures there of him making strange faces, with the caption, "Shame you find it so tiresome, Jeremy." Look, if you take a video of someone, and then you pause it at random points, there's like a 50-50 chance that they'll be making a stupid face in it. And to prove it, here's a screenshot from this video. I look like an idiot, don't I? You print that in the Mail, no one's going to vote for me to be Prime Minister. And also, he probably does find it tiresome. I find it tiresome, and I'm not even involved. Look, I don't think that Jeremy Corbyn's evil or an anti-Semite, and I'm not convinced that the Daily Mail do either. They just don't want him to be Prime Minister, because if he does, then they might have to start paying some tax. Turning over to page 3 of the Daily Mirror, and I hope you're as relieved as I was to discover no topless women. Instead, what we have is lots of pictures of babies dressed up as famous women from history. So there's Queen Elizabeth I, and others. I'm not going to read all of them. I mean, this still isn't news, but at least I can read it on the bus without people thinking I'm some kind of perv. Although I might get some looks if I stared at it for too long. What I actually want to talk about is this story on the bottom. Where's the Ho-Ho 7? Which is just a terrible headline. I mean, it kind of works if you see it written down, but the minute you try to say it out loud, people have no idea what you're talking about. This is the story that Pierce Brosnan thinks that the recent James Bond films with Daniel Craig aren't funny enough. The thing is that Brosnan's films aren't really that good, and Craig's are much better. So he's just gone, yeah, well, my films were funnier. All we've had so far in the Daily Mirror is just people complaining. First we've had Thomas Markle complaining that his daughter isn't giving him any money, and now we've got Pierce Brosnan complaining that the series of films about a misogynistic spy who kills people aren't funny enough. Over on page 17 of the Daily Mail, bridge collapse carnage! Now, I don't actually want to make any jokes about this story, because it's very tragic and people died. But I would like to point out the difference between how it was covered in the Daily Mail versus how it was covered in the Daily Mirror, because I think it's interesting. Daily Mail prints, up to 35 feared dead as cars plunge 150 foot into Italy apocalypse. First of all, the phrase Italy apocalypse makes it sound like the entire of Italy's been destroyed as opposed to just one bridge. I find it interesting that while the Mail have focused on all the people who have died or who are feared to be dead, the Mirror have printed a much more optimistic story about the one vehicle that didn't fall off the bridge, which is an unusual response to a disaster. It's like if 9/11 happened and the newspapers decided to run a story from the perspective of some bloke who saw it from the pavement rather than cover the tragedy itself. It's just weird. In more light-hearted news, who done it? Marriage breakup came after Depp claimed ex-lover soiled bed, but she blames the dog. Oh, I love this story already. So apparently it's been revealed that the reason for Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's divorce is that Johnny accused her of doing a poo in the bed, but she says that it was the dog, Boo. That's the name of the dog. I wasn't just saying boo for... I wasn't just finishing the sentence and then going, boo! Ah, I got you. So according to Amber, Boo has some serious bowel control issues, and that's why the dog did the poo in the bed. But a spokesman for Johnny Depp has claimed, and I quote, strong photographic evidence connected Amber to the feces. What evidence have they got? Just someone took a picture of her doing a poo in the bed? How do you have photographic evidence that someone pooed the bed other than an actual photo of them pooing the bed? And if you did have that, surely you'd print that in a tabloid. I would. Finally, turning back to the Mail, will cricket bad boy ever mend his ways? This is the story that Ben Stokes, who is a cricket player, got into a fight outside a gay club and has just been cleared of all charges by a jury. And the Daily Mail, surprise, surprise, don't seem too happy about it. He walks straight back into team, despite failing to apologise for nightclub brawl. Now, it turns out that the reason he got into this fight was to protect a gay couple from homophobic abuse. But the Mail doesn't actually mention this until quite a way down the article. I picked up a Metro today, just because it's free, and they actually covered the story quite differently. First of all, it's on the front page, because they finished their Corbyn Cemetery coverage days ago. But also, they tell this story from the perspective of the people who he was protecting. And they describe Ben as a hero. The Daily Mail asks, why weren't gay men called to give court evidence? Not the gay men, or the couple he was defending, but just gay men. Any gay men. Why weren't any gay men called to give evidence? Where was Stephen Fry? Where was John Barrowman? I'm sure they've got opinions. Just any gay men. Tom Daley, he'll give evidence, I'm sure he saw it, because they were all there. Now, I'm not saying that the Daily Mail is definitely homophobic, but they certainly don't seem to be friends with the friends of Dorothy. Am I allowed to say that? Is that fine? Okay. Well, that just about brings us to the end, but hold your horses, because the Mirror has horoscopes. I think I'm going to end every video with a horoscope, because it's a nice little way to round everything off. Today, I'll be reading the horoscope for Gemini. That's people born between the 22nd of May and the 20th of June. You don't have to be perfect. Be assertive and say no to extra demands. On a personal note, you tend to be a bit secretive at the moment. Are the rumours complete fiction? Some information will be leaked without a word being spoken. Now, that, to me, sounds like whoever wrote it was talking to a specific Gemini. Like, hey, you've been keeping secrets, what's going on? There's no way you can apply that to every Gemini. Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been Dearnley Reads the News. I'm Jack Dearnley, and I just... Wait, what's happening? What? Ah!
Dearnley Reads the News.